The portrait of Luis Muñoz Marín by Francisco Rodón is important in Puerto Rican art history and in Puerto Rican history in general because it represents the first democratically elected governor of Puerto Rico. He was governor between 1948 and 1964, and he is called the father of modern Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico used to be a very rural and poor country until then, and he turned around the economy. He industrialized it. By 1965, the project really started to lose steam. Puerto Rico now had to import a lot of its food because it wasn't producing any more in the fields, and because there was now a huge part of the population who did not live in Puerto Rico anymore. It's a monumental portrait. It is really large scale. It measures approximately 8 by 6 feet. It is very dramatic. The figure of Muñoz occupies most of the canvas. However, there is this tension between the space he occupies and his sullen pose and the sadness in his face. He is wearing a guayabera, which is a traditional casual shirt worn in Puerto Rico and through the Caribbean and Latin America. It is a casual, elegant shirt, but it looks really disheveled on him. It is sort of wrinkled and it's parted at the bottom. The background is completely obstructed by these green streaks of exuberant flora that prevent us from looking at anything behind him, really. The focus is on his face. His face and his hands are incredibly wrinkled. The way that Rodón treats the surface and the flesh tones is by decomposing them in 1,000 tiny planes that evoke age, I think. It's an old Muñoz, but they also could evoke the countryside of the island. It's like a topographic map. The lower part of his body sort of disappears and disintegrates into the canvas. There are parts of the canvas where you see this dripping effect of the paint, and you see part of the raw canvas. And there is an allusion to the unfinished political project and economic project of Muñoz. So Francisco Rodón wanted to paint the portrait of Luis Muñoz Marín in 1955, 1956, and he was unable to do so because he couldn't get close to the governor. Luis Muñoz Marín asked Rodón to paint his portrait in 1971. If he would have painted Muñoz in 1955 or 56, the portrait would have been completely different. It reflects how Muñoz Marín was feeling by the end of his life. It is not triumphant at all. Francisco Rodón definitely acknowledges the stature of Muñoz as the architect, the father of modern Puerto Rico. However, his expression, his sullen pose, the unfinished state of the portrait towards the bottom alludes to everything that did not work in that model. I chose that picture because it's a great painting. There's few paintings of political leaders that are as complex as that one in terms of showing you the human side of a political leader. On top of that, I'm interested in exploring the relationship between the United States and Puerto Rico, which is a very complicated one since 1898, and most people do not have a notion of that.